who are no longer there. I can take credit for what's happened in our state. That we still have a high unemployment, but if you look at our areas of commerce in Greenville and Columbia and Charleston, Anderson, Spartanburg, you can see America working. That entrepreneurial spirit is still there, innovation, the hard work, and the fact that companies from all over the world are literally looking at South Carolina as a place to locate. And I know there's still a lot of them looking because I make economic development calls regularly. And our state legislators, our governors in the past have made South Carolina one of the best places in the world to do business. We've still got some work to do. There are improvements we can make. And if the federal government wasn't holding us back, based on the businesses I've talked to all over the state, we could get that unemployment down in a hurry. But thank you to all of you who've worked to make South Carolina a good place to do business, because the things we care about, our health care, our schools, our roads, are not going to happen unless the tax base comes from jobs that are being created. But let me take a second and talk about Washington and what's happening. If you read USA Today or just about anything, folks are wondering why we can't just get along. Why don't we work with those other guys? Why don't we cooperate? Frankly, for the last 2 decades or more, we have. That's how we got $15 trillion in debt. If you want to see bipartisanship at work, it has been working in Washington for years. Over 90% of the bills that pass in the Senate pass by unanimous consent. And most of the disagreements are for show on C-SPAN. There is actually, particularly in the Senate, too much getting along with the other guys. What we have in Washington are two polar opposite views of what makes America great, what makes us exceptional and unique. It's not really about political parties or partisanship. I mean, there are people who believe that the government drives our economy. They really believe that centralized power is what makes America work. Collectivist policies, one size fits all for education, for health care. You can see by their policies, they really believe that Washington can do things better than the private sector or the states. And they're all well-intended. I'm convinced there's no one in Washington who's really trying to hurt our country. But there are a lot of them who honestly believe that one-size-fits-all health care, education works. They honestly believe that keeping America's energy supplies wrapped up in bureaucratic red tape is the right thing to do for our environment, even though all the records, all the data show something completely opposite. So what we're dealing with now in Washington are people who no longer accept the idea of decentralized political power, individualism, individual responsibility. They really don't think entrepreneurship, innovation is what drives our economy. They don't understand that basic, simple fact that most of you here know about economics, is our economy grows when individuals take risk in hopes of a financial reward. That may sound simple, but I was in business most of my life, and I know the first risk to start a business, hoping that one day I'll get a financial reward. You take a risk when you hire a person, hoping to get even more financial reward, and you keep investing back in the business, hoping that you'll get to the point where that business is actually an asset to you, that it's actually paying you more than you're putting in. Frankly, after 15 years, Roger knows my accountant, I never quite got to that point. But every time I had some extra money, I would get an extra employee, or we built an office building, or something to keep trying to grow the business. And I've seen a lot of you do the same thing. But you know, if you've ever started a business or even gone to work for one, when you rent your first office, you're creating another job. When you borrow from the bank, you're creating a job. You buy office equipment, you're creating jobs. And those little ripples go out for one person starting a business. And America is made great by millions of people, making their own decisions about what they want to do, what they value. And so it's a bottom-up economy. And it's always been that way in America.